Stuart Carter-Smith, 18 boring golf questions.
Oh, go on, I'm ready.
Favourite club?
Sandown.
Which golf ball do you play with?
Tights Pro V.
Hate the most, wind or rain?
Rain.
Favourite pro golfer?
Seve.
Current handicap?
+1.
What's your handicap going to be this time next year?
Probably worse. I just don't know what the handicap system's going to do. If it goes as crazy as it's going to be, then I guess I could be a lot better. But you know, I just don't know how it's going to quite work out.
How old were you when you started playing golf?
13, I think.
What course is the top of your bucket list?
It's got to be Augusta, hasn't it?
I think I skipped one. What's the best course you ever played?
Probably either the Palmer Private or PGA West Stadium course over in Palm Springs.
Which YouTube golf creator do you watch the most?
That's a tough one. Alex Evans, I think.
Do you recommend new clubs or lessons?
Clubs aren't going to help. Lessons every time.
Stableford stroke play or match play?
I'll go match play, I think.
Pin in or out for putting?
I quite like the change. I think I'm going to go pin in.
Bomb for show or putt for dough?
Putt for dough.
How many clubs should be allowed in the bag?
Oh, as many as you can carry. It won't make any difference.
Laser, GPS or eyes?
Laser. Definitely better than my eyes.
Dream 4-ball, dead or alive?
I'd go Hogan, Nicholas, Woods at their best and see how they get on.
Your favourite golfer never made it in.
No, Seve didn't, unfortunately. No, I just thought, I don't want to. He didn't really like the Americans, and they're all Americans. So
all separate. Like to cough when the Americans were playing. Par threes, fours, or fives?
Fives are the easy ones.
That's it. Stuart, thanks for letting me introduce you, hopefully a bit to the world.
You're welcome, mate.
Can you just introduce yourself to people who may not know you?
My name's Stuart Carter-Smith. I started out my YouTube thing about maybe 15 months ago. It started as the Happy Golfer. I thought it was a good idea to try and find out why we play golf. Had a little trouble with buying domain names and things, so I ended up changing it to Carter-Smith Golf. And I suppose I've been a lifelong golfer. Started playing when I was very young, kind of started hustling, trying to play for money when I was about 15 or 16 at my local golf course. We would be out trying to take money off the older guys from quite an early age. And we'd always end up playing for, a couple of months' wages, which sometimes was good and sometimes was bad. But and then turned pro officially, so started selling Mars bars at about 17, and then had a pretty epic midlife crisis, and gave up golf for about 8 years, and then started playing golf again, maybe probably 6 years ago, and keen as anything once again. So it goes in waves. So and that's pretty much up to date. Got fiance, 4 kids. That's it.
Great stuff. Well, we're going to get to a lot of that stuff as we go on then. Everybody loves a midlife crisis.
Oh, yeah.
So the first question is, why did you choose you've obviously gone to Stuart Carter-Smith Golf now rather than the Happy Golf?
Yeah, Carter-Smith Golf. Yeah, I just, I couldn't get my domain names for the Happy Golfer. Some fella bought the Twitter one and he doesn't even use it. So I just thought, well, I'll switch it across. And it kind of helps a little bit with like branding really, because if I go to a golf course and meet someone, it's always kind of quite nice when they see your name on the list. At least you've got an opening there rather than like who's the happy golfer. So yeah, it's worked out okay. I think it's probably the right thing to do, you know.
And would you recommend maybe to others that have got a lot of people got their own brand names, but would you put at least their names next to it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the identity of the channel depends. If there's a few of you doing it, then obviously it's important to be that brand. You know, you've got your Bro Fives, which is gone apparently now, but that kind of thing I think works as a group then, because then you can switch people in and people out. But if it's your own channel and your own sort of baby, as it were, you kind of really want to stick with your own name, because that shouldn't really change unless you're a lady perhaps and you get married. But generally speaking, yeah, I'd stick with your name.
There is a lot.
It doesn't matter, does it? No one watches a channel because of the name, really.
They don't, but like you say, when you turn up, it's kind of hard to remember people's names when it's a brand name, or even finding their names out. Finding their names out.
I know if I mention some people today, it'll be their channel names, because I don't, you know, you kind of don't really know people's names.
Yeah. And who knew Fergs was called Ian? So.
Yeah, that was a good one. I did watch that one. It's hard with that when he's Welsh speaking like that. It's difficult to get through that accent.
Yeah. Maybe said the same thing about you, I think, didn't he?
I think he might have, yeah.
Southern accent. But then he was very complimentary about you being possibly a proper golfer. That was when he did compliment you, I think.
Bless him. Well, you know, I don't know. It takes one to know one, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what made you start YouTubing? I think it was April last year. I see the first Happy Golfer.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I came back, like I said, I had a big break from golf, and then I kind of got sort of gravitated back in. Like, I'm not sure whether you've had a break before, but if you have a bit of a break, it's always there niggling in the back of your mind, and especially when the Masters comes around each year, and you just think, oh, the sun comes out, and all of a sudden, if you're not super busy, like destroying your life in other ways, you want to go out and hit some golf balls. So I had a fair break, and then I came back into it, and I went for, the first thing I did was, because I'm older now, I'm 48 now, so I was thinking, well, seniors golf is where I'm heading. I've moved away from, I'm kind of like mid-am and seniors and up. And so I thought, well, what I could do is do a little challenge to myself to try and kind of play half decent, or as I think that I probably could.
Yeah.
So I went to Ross and White, Tim Hall, those guys down there have got all the gear. And I said, like, do the TPI test and just see if I've got any flexibility left after my, not playing golf for a while. And the TPI test came back like really well. It was like I was top 3% as you can get, which was partly disappointing because I don't have many excuses. But he was kind of saying, well, you're more flexible than a lot of 16-year-olds. So I thought, wow, I could actually possibly swing a golf club okay if I actually tried. So I started that year. And I just entered a whole load of AMAMs. I got a handicap back again. I put 3 cards in. And so they put me back off scratch because it was kind of where I was playing in sort of friendly play, if you like. Yeah. And I then went out to the big world of kind of amateur golf and played like some of the world qualifiers and, some of those events. And it was a big shock to me. You know, suddenly I could still hit a golf ball and kind of score on friendly terms, but as we might talk about later, golf is really 95% in your brain. You know, it's turned into a bit of a physical sport, but, you know, you just got to hold those putts, got to get up and down when you need to. Otherwise, you know, you can turn a sort of average round into a good one or an average one into a bad one. So I thought, well, I'll just document it. I thought I'd sort of do a little bit of YouTube, and it got me out really, because it's quite nice, like walking around with a camera. I find it quite nice because golf's a very insular game. You know, it's I didn't mention in my my kind of opening bit that I'm a professional musician by trade, and that's always run parallel to my golf. So I organise music festivals, and I also play guitar. And so it was very much when I was younger, I kind of always thought that golf was kind of so sort of selfish, especially when I got a little bit kind of disappointed with like the pro game and the low amateur game. You know, you go off to these places, and if you shoot a good score, everybody in the room really is a little bit pissed off that you did it. you know. And you think, you know, and we all do try and encourage our mates and stuff, but you're driving back with your friend who's just kind of shot 10 under par and, you know, for a couple of rounds, and you're just thinking, oh, wish it was me. So you kind of feel happy for them, but at the same time, you're pissed off, really.
Right.
And so I thought, well, everybody in that room, the mums and dads and the caddies and the team, like now they've got all sorts of squads of all kinds of people. They all don't want you to do well. It's just you on your own, you know, and you kind of almost feel that vibe. And so when I started playing music, it was the complete opposite. And it helped with that because music is the opposite. Everybody in the room, all your audience, if you're playing a festival, they all want you to actually play better or do the best you possibly can, even better than you can. And so I thought that's quite a nice yin and yang, you know?
Yeah.
Because golf is a funny one. So
And you
I don't know
think-
what the question was now, but yeah. But yeah, so there we go. I started the channel to kind of have a little look at what that was all about. And I quite like the camera bit anyway. So it's quite good fun.
You have a different channel for your music as well, don't you? Do you do more?
Yeah, I've had a few channels, but it's nothing really serious. I just put stuff up for clients to see and bits and pieces. And I've got a little personal channel when I've done some traveling about, but the golf is the main one, really.
Yeah. We'll come back to that negative side of everybody, the negative waves or whatever.
Sorry, yeah, bringing it down already.
You know, it's interesting though. It's interesting that is. We'll come back to it, but I believe that you've got to give positive to get positive back, and if all these negative waves that are hitting you, like if you're stood over a putt and you can just feel people burning into the back of your head, miss. You're like, oh god, yeah, if you're not careful.
Oh yeah, yeah, so definitely. Yeah, and it's the part of the game. It's the kind of the sort of one-on-one nature. That's why I said earlier about match play I quite like, because you're just beating one guy, and that appeals to me rather than a whole team, a whole kind of like field of people that you don't really know what they're doing. It's nice to look them in the eye and
just beat one guy, just hate on one person.
Yeah, just deliver him hate. Yeah.
So positive things that have come from doing YouTube?
Well, for me, the positive thing is it gets me out all the time, you know, because it is quite easy. You know, if you get down to as low as you can, I mean, I'll say like +1 or a scratch or something for me, but it could be for somebody whose skill level stops at 10 or 15 or 4 or 5 or whatever it might be. You get down to that level and you kind of really know that you could get a bit better. And you could kind of get a bit worse, but you're just maintaining that level. And you think, well, why should I go out? Because I know naturally I can play to that handicap. Yeah. So it's kind of something to get you out all the time. And me with a camera and playing courses, like I've played, God, I don't know, probably played for 35 years. And so I've played a lot of golf courses and played a lot of people and like to think I've seen most things that go on. So why keep doing it? Because I'm getting older, I'm probably going to get worse. And so it's quite nice with that channel just to keep it going.
You've got the movement of a 16-year-old. You'll be all right.
Yeah, no. Trump's got eyes of a 50-year-old, and I've got, you know. Well, you know, but it's quite nice. I think starting the channel, the positive thing is it gets me out. I enjoy meeting people, and I also sort of quite enjoy, like when I meet people who just got into the game for the first time. I kind of love it because I love sort of trying to get them involved and trying to inspire them. I mean, I don't think an old guy's going to inspire too many people, but it's quite nice when you chat to them and you kind of remember where you were at that point. And sometimes you can offer little bits of help, you know. Often if they were anything like when I was a kid, you don't want help, you know. It's like, you're an old person, go away. You know?
You're not listening until you're ready to listen, but
but it does open doors with opportunities as well, which is quite nice. You know, you can play lots of courses.
Have you found opportunities that you wouldn't have expected popping up as you're getting more and more subscribers?
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of in a position where I don't really mind paying for green fees and trips. It's not like I'm not in it for total freebies, but it is quite nice when it opens doors to meet owners of golf courses and hotel complexes and interview them, and just it's kind of quite fascinating, you know, and also talking to like head greensmen, you know, and tournament officials, and it sees the other side, like the backstage that I never really got to see as kind of a player. You know, you just go out and play and bitch about why the bunker's not raked, you know, but sometimes when you look a bit deeper, it's quite interesting, you know.
Are they asking you to do some sort of filming, or is it just
Yeah. Often, I mean, really, I could line something up every week. It's just the energy involved and the amount of time that I have.
Yeah.
The trouble is with my situation is I work on a Friday and a Saturday night nearly always. I don't do much in the daytime ever, so I can play golf every day if I like. But as far as tournament golf is concerned, I can drive to the other side of the country and play in a low amateur event, which are always 72 holes, which are great events. But if I'm going to do it right, I want to be there a couple of days before. I want to have a practice round. I've often not played the courses before.
Yeah.
And so you want to kind of do it properly. And that's like a week, and also I mean, you could probably throw maybe the best part of sort of 500 to £1,000 at that by the time you've had hotels for 5 days, all the rest of it. So yeah, it's nice. But to be honest with you, I just like knocking about and playing golf when I can. Yeah. But as far as golf courses, they're always up for doing a bit of promotion, whether it's because I don't think the channel's big enough to have any weight, but I've never really had a knockback.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would recommend it to other people just to kind of give and take a bit, but you do have to, like, I'm a sort of fairly PC kind of person really anyway, nowadays. So I try and do as best as I can for wherever I'm playing. And if it's a bit of a shambles, I probably won't highlight it unless I really have got a bee in my bonnet about something. So I think most courses would look at it and think, well, I could use that video on our site, or I can at least kind of use it on our social media. They're getting a free, as we all know, the area of expertise that we've ended up with being editing and camera equipment and, knowing what to do and what not to do when we're sort of vlogging at a golf course. It's really handy for those guys. It's free. I mean, they'll be paying.
It's not costing money for people, is it, really?
No, exactly. So it makes sense. Golf club companies the same, really. Every time I've asked any company for anything, they've sent it to me. So it's
excellent.
But I'm not really a reviewer, so it's not sort of what I'm into, really.
So then going into and being PC, you might not go too far into this. On the negative side, any negatives from doing YouTube? Have you had any negative comments on videos or anything that's pissed you off?
No. Yeah, it's pretty boring, really. Yeah, I don't get a lot of negative feedback. Not really, no. I mean, you get a couple of cranks, but they highlight themselves straight away, don't they? They say some outrageous things. So no, I've not really. I'm not terribly like into the old trolling and stuff like that. I mean, the only person that I have big rants with is Dennis Pugh, and I think he likes it as much as I do. So
is it over Brexit or golf? I see Dennis.
Yeah. It's always the golf. I hate politics, so take me out of that. Yeah.
Oh, politics are a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
So obviously your videos take a lot of producing and putting out, don't they? A lot of editing. So next question is, what do you do on a days where how do you keep going? You've probably got a decent philosophy on stuff anyway, but how do you keep going when it just seems like a lot of work?
Yeah, I think for me, it's not a lot of work. For me, it's the time filming, because if you're going to go off and go to a golf course, for instance, and you're going to drag some mates along, I mean, most of my mates hate it now because they end up on the channel all the time, but if I'm going to go there, it's going to take a huge chunk of the day. If I'm playing golf these days, I like to go to the range, hit some balls, loosen up, like do some concentrated golf, and then get home and chill out. But as soon as you're going to put the vlog aspect into it, then not only is it the whole day, but then you've got your evening, then you're excited to get it out. But all that process to me is quite a buzz. I love editing. I mean, it's one of my favorite parts. When I get back with a few hours video, I just can't wait to get stuck into it, because, and maybe it's a musician thing, but that's the artistic bit that I like, the creative bit. I feel it's great. And then you upload it, and you feel all excited, now it goes. And then I pretty much forget about it. I try and answer any questions anybody's asking, but not really a kind of a click counter or anything. I just sort of put it up there and move on to the next one. You know?
So you don't really. Yeah, that's cool that the creative side of it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and if I go back and watch my previous videos, which I guess we shouldn't do, but every now and again I will just click to a bit that is nearly always not golf related. It's something to do with a nice depth of field camera, or a nice kind of panoramic something, or a drone shot, which I was really proud of. Yeah. But funnily enough, I would say that generally speaking, golfers don't care about that stuff. The amount of people that I've gone to, and I'll play them one of my videos for something or other, and they'll just quickly flick through the bit that I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
And so us golfers are, you know, we're all into like Peter McKinnon and all those kind of people that love doing the kind of the cinematic sequences. But it's the wrong sport because people don't care. I mean, if you think about, if you're watching golf on the TV, you're watching Rory hit a shot, and then 2 minutes later they're panning across the beautiful fields of this and that, and you're like, come on,
you're
get
off for
back
a
to the golf.
then, aren't you? Yeah.
That's what people think. But unfortunately, that's the kind of fun bit that I like doing. But people generally don't like it. Just get on with it.
You probably think that when you went out that day, that was the view you were looking at as well, and it may be, you know, you want to remember the view that you saw from that day as well.
Yeah,
like
it is to you. I think more and more goes into it. You kind of, when you get right into it, you're talking about obviously frame rates and applying color correction and soundscapes, and I just love doing all that stuff, you know. And I could sit and do that for hours. That's not a chore to me. So that whole process for me, I love it. So it's I really don't mind recording and filming. It's fun, you know. It's good fun.
I wonder if new people to your channel do like that stuff though, and think, well, this person knows what they're doing. Look at how everything's cut.
Don't think so.
No, you just think, I've come to.
The thing is, I feel like now I'm talking to, we'll say creators, but all the YouTube vloggers, and I know that they are, most of those are. We all look at vlogs and think, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh, I like that bit. Oh, it's nice how he did that transition. Blah blah blah. Or that's slick. Or that little graphic was good. But all the other ones, who are generally your sort of average golfers or the golf YouTube watchers, don't care about that, you know. It just like this. So it's just for us that it's kind of like the 2%, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of why on this I just fire into 18 boring questions. There's no intro.
Yeah.
It's like, here you go.
And do you know what? That's it. Absolutely fine. Like I watched Ferg's one the other night, and I was just like, "Bosh, we're in." And that's it. You want to know about the person. Some people do want to know what ball you play and so on, you know. But
it sort of stemmed from the people come on Twitter. I'm going to do a Q&A. What questions would you like me to answer? And it's always them sort of questions. So I was sort of trying to get them out of the way.
It is, but I think it seems that the biggest bulk of people that watch YouTube are quite transient, you know, and there are a few of the hardcore, and they're great, but often they're people that just got themselves a set of golf clubs, or they've just found YouTube, and they're bang into it, and they're watching all the content, taking it all in, you know, like when you first start and you just used to read magazines all the time, and then they sort of peter off, and then you get another wave coming in, you know. So I think you're always dealing with the people that are, what grips do you use, or you know, how can I sort my backswing out? It's like, it's difficult, that.
And have you seen that? You've seen some people come and you get lots of comments, and all of a sudden now there's a different set of people asking same sort of questions.
It's a natural thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the world of YouTube, you know. There's somebody out there who's into whoever it is. And I think the other thing that creators get caught up in, and that is like, oh, let's be original, you know, let's do something no one else has done. No one cares about that, really. No one really ultimately cared. You could come up with the most original thing ever, and everybody would hate it because it's not what they're used to.
Yeah.
What they like, I'm convinced of, I'm sure of it, is they like the personality.
Sure.
You know, they like, you know, if we want to see golf swings, we'll just stick on the Sky Sports, you know, and watch Rory, because, you know, you're not going to get much better than that. They're hitting balls down the middle. It's brilliant. But we get into these kind of goofy kind of golfer people, and we get into them as a person, and we want to know what they do. Like I say about Alex Evans, he's a great golfer, you know, but I just like him because he's like funny, you know, and he's always distracted by stuff. And it's all those little things that I would kind of follow somebody for. It's not because how well he swings a golf club. That's almost annoying sometimes.
Yeah. I saw Ricky Gervais was on a podcast somewhere, and he said the same sort of thing. He said people come for sitcoms, for the characters, and over the series, what's funny is, you know, how that character is going to react to a certain situation. So when you get to know people, you're going to laugh because you know how these people you've watched all the time are going to react to a bad shot or a bit of
and also that situation that you put them into, you think, oh my God, this is going to be a bit dodgy. You know, what's going to happen here? That's the gold dust. That's the gold, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then next question that I don't think that you'll have too much problem with this either, but the performing seal question. I don't know if I asked Fergs that one. Going down the route of this will create a lot of views, or this type of video is what gets more subscribers. You know what I mean? Think selling your soul to the devil kind of thing. I think that's the sort of question.
Yeah, I sort of don't sign up to it really. Like if it was all about views, I would start up like a kids channel. Like my daughter watches some kids, like a 13-year-old girl, and she's got 15 million subs. Yeah. All she does is she's a good personality, and it's, that's pretty much it. Golf's the wrong sport. You look at our biggest guy that we've got, probably 600,000. I mean, it's nothing. That is just like a really poor tech channel, So if you're all about views and clicks, just do something else. This is not really about this. It's connecting with your 50 subscribers or your 1,000 subscribers or whoever it is, and just being yourself and keeping it consistent.
Yeah, that's great advice. Next three are a little bit golf related, promotional questions for golf really. First one's like, what does golf do for you in your life, and what have you taken from? I know you're an In a Game fan, aren't you? The book Tim Galway's In a Game.
Oh, I think definitely golf has pretty much sort of shaped who I am completely from the word go. I was like a kid at school, like everybody else, and then suddenly I was a 14-ish year old playing with like business people who've made their careers and sports people, and that whole group of adult people, and there was a certain sense of like respect to them that I would give them, and then I would receive back because I was a better player and things. And I think just the way I always think golf's very much an emotional sport, so it sort of trained me to like take a step back and think what's going on, and kind of being very level-headed, because all those things affect me on a golf course. If I get a bit wound up, I'll hit a bad shot. If I get a bit jumpy, it's or if I'm not very confident, or if I'm overconfident, all those things, and I think they go right throughout life. And I'd like all my kids to get into it. I think the world's changing a bit, but I think some of those aspects are still just so key to the rest of our lives. Socializing with people, knowing how to be around a group of people, all these things like a normal sort of 13, 14, 15-year-old, when you're all a little bit sort of crazy with hormones and stuff, they don't really get access to that, I think it's really important, and it's a huge thing for me. I think I've always maintained that it's kind of sort of made me who I am, really.
Yeah, definitely. And in this sort of age now where you can work from home and you don't get to talk to people are going to get less and less sociable, aren't they? And to get out,
I think we're all getting a bit chopsy on the old Twitter and stuff. Everybody's sat in their armchair. They're very good at, because they're trying to stand out from the other people. They're always kind of they wouldn't say that in a pub, is what I'm saying. And so it's kind of it's a funny vibe, that is, and it can be a buzz for them to get reaction, and then they do more of it. So it kind of can make a bit of a monster. But it's not like being at a pub. You probably get hit at the pub,
Yeah, you wouldn't dare say it, would you, in the pub?
Yeah.
That's interesting. You could go on about stuff that golf can do in your life for like all day, couldn't you? I think if you start getting into that.
Oh, the things I've seen, ridiculous.
Yeah. So the next two are really the same sort of question. Is advice to new golfers going into a club or starting up playing, and then the next part is what can clubs do to help people play more? How to get more people playing golf? But the first part is you're brand new to golf. There's people think it's stuffy, and it's all those stereotypes. How do we get more people? Just first round.
It's obviously it's a $1 billion question, and I've never really been. The trouble is with me is I kind of can't ever remember that first kind of section, because I kind of went from like being just like a kid who I couldn't play to being one of the better players at the club, etc. And what comes with that is a certain amount of leeway, if you like. Yeah. So you go to other clubs as a good player, you know, you meet the pro, and so I've never had that discrimination. If anything, it's gone the other way for me. So it's very hard for me to get through to people, you know, just be yourself, you know, because I don't know what the tricks would be.
Sure.
Do you see what I mean? It's
Yeah,
kind of like but golf is now changing so much. You can find a golf club that's short enough if you're not a big hitter. You can get one long enough. You can go to a club where jeans are fine, and you know, or you can do pretty much anything you like. When I started, it was back in the 20s. Now, when I started, it was kind of like women weren't even allowed on one of the golf courses that I was an assistant at. They weren't even allowed on the hours of daylight.
What?
And they had their own locker room, which was horrendous, and the blokes was completely plush. So can you even imagine that? It's just like a crazy concept. So I think everything's changing now, and it's changing because golf clubs are struggling, and so they have to let more people in, you know, and have to kind of open it up to people. And I think also that the committees were always the senior people, mainly because they didn't want to like clubs couldn't pay them, and they were retired and they had the most time. Makes sense, doesn't it? But those guys were stuck in that era.
Yeah.
Now it's coming along now that clubs are paying professional people, marketing managers, and guys that are really going to take these clubs to the next level. And they're young guys. They're like sort of like 25 to 35.
Yeah.
Loads of energy, and they get things done. You know, you're going to get some members clubs that are a bit stuffy, but that generation, with respect, they're dying out. They're going. Now I would say I'm probably one of the older generation now, and I'd like to think that I'm sort of fairly kind of open-minded. I'm up for anything, really.
So do you think, and that new generation are going to get better at social media, going to get better at putting things out, and you know, because
definitely, yeah, golf will be strong. It won't die because it's too addictive.
Yeah.
Like it would have died years ago if it weren't for the fact that when we hit that one shot, that's it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you go. I can take some musician mates to a range and say, try it in this golf ball. You know, they'll slap at it 5 or 6 times, and then they'll ping one, and suddenly they're like, and I just know what it is. I know what it is. It's that addictive drug, because it's so difficult. We would give up. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have survived this far. It's not because it's cool. It's not because it's athletic. It's not because, like, for any other reason than that buzz we get when we hit that shot, you know, and how difficult it keeps like hooking you in all the time, you know.
Yeah. But then it spits you out the other side.
It always does. Yeah, it always gets the better of you, but you know.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. It does get the better of you. But to be honest with you, that's what the handicap's there for. But people don't realise they compare themselves with. They look at the stats and they see the tour stats. That's a different game. You got to kind of forget that game. It doesn't even matter whether you're like a 1, 2, 3, 4 handicapper. Just forget those stats completely. Compare yourself to your level. So if you're off 15, compare yourself to a 15 handicapper. The handicap's there because your skill level is not as good as somebody who's off scratch, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good starting bench. We're given those shots, you know, to help for the lack of experience, you know. You've got to go out there, and that's why I think things like Arcos and these kind of stats management things are very good, because they compare you with somebody as good as you. Yeah. And if you outplay that or not, you know, don't go out there off 10 thinking, oh, I could knock it around in 2 over. You wouldn't be off 10 if you could, like consistently. Yeah. So look at where you are. Obviously, we're all trying to improve, but don't kind of like fire above your weight, because you're only going to be disappointed every time.
Sure. And that measure. Some people will leave golf because of that. Because you're measured on every shot, aren't you? There's a way, you're tracked on every hole, but every single shot, in theory, you could be measured, couldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's weird because, you know, you'll see some guy who hits it 350 yards and he, for some reason, thinks that he should be a really good player. I mean, that's just like such a tiny part of the game. And often with a lot of that is real trouble, you know. So it's a very strange kind of game that hooks you in and makes you believe that you could be an awful lot better than you know you are or can be. You know.
One of your videos or one of your comments, I think, on Twitter was go to sleep with your sandwich. I think you said your favourite club with your sandwich, didn't you?
Yeah. I was told that very, very young.
I've stopped messing about 80 yards in, 70 yards in, everything's my sand wedge now. I know it's not the 100% right way to do it, but I'm just trying to master the sand wedge. And
Yeah,
I
think it's.
shots. I had 50
I mean,
options.
golf. Yeah, golf is kind of like it's constantly changing. It's not on the range where you're hitting off a mat every single time with a perfect lie. That's a different sport. I mean, that is a sport, but it's a different one.
Yeah.
Golf is, you get good lies and bad lies. And I think, and I've always believed that if you're going at it with the same club and you know what that club's going to do, then use that club. When I see people like with 4 wedges, it's great for your long. It's okay for your long game because you can. It's good for gapping and stuff. But as far as short shots are concerned, I just always have been a believer of just kind of working that ball the best you can. You know what it's going to do. Like I've said before, if you get out with a 7-iron and you've only hit one little chip shot with a 7-iron over the last 2 months, what chance have you got? You're just going to let yourself down. You just don't know what the ball's going to do. Don't know if it's going to release or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Golf lessons and stuff. There's a lot of questions to answer there as well, isn't there? But we'll be able
online golf lessons. I don't go for them. I'm more into the mental side of game and strategy more than anything because it's where everything is. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of golfers that can hit a golf ball, but there's only a few that can get around a golf course.
Yeah.
And that's not because they're stronger, bigger, hit it further. It's because basically they can get around the course. They can hold those putts when they need to. And, nobody's won any tournament off the tee,
Yeah. It's getting in the hole.
They can give themselves a very good chance, but ultimately I've never seen, I've seen people win majors with a bad tee shot, with bad tee shots.
Yeah.
Like Spieth, but you'll never see somebody who putts badly win anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because you said your favourite golfer was Seve, didn't you? I can remember when I was young watching Seve, and somebody said he's got the best imagination in golf. And I used to be like, "What's that mean? What's imagination's got to do with it? You just hit your ball, don't you?" And so are you into that sort of thing, like being able to be creative in your mind of what you want to do, where you need to be?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, golf is a sport about pressure, and that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, if you decide that you're off a 10 handicap, that is your level. Let's just say you can play to it. You've got down to it over competition play. You get to a club championship and you shoot 20 over.
Yeah.
It's not because you've suddenly turned into a terrible golfer. It's just what your brain's done.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you played with Rory on a practice round, he would shoot, he'd be off +6 or 7, But then if I said to him, every time you did that, you'd win every tournament you played in, which you could do.
Yeah.
It's all about that kind of the attitude you put on yourself. If you see the water and you can hit it in the water, you convince yourself you're swinging badly or you're putting poorly. It's always that makes a difference because we can all play to our handicaps because we've proved it to get that far.
Yeah.
But how many times you actually do it because of your brain is often the only thing that restricts you.
Yeah.
And that's why Tiger was so good and Jack was so good. They actually thought they were much better than everybody else. And, that makes the massive difference.
Yes, we definitely need to do some more videos revisiting that. I think that's Happy Me Golf is all to do with that sort of stuff as well. And that's what I believe, like you, it's, everything's in your head, everything. You've got $1 billion brain and,
Oh, definitely.
How can you use it?
They say about golfers and pressure, it always makes me laugh when they say, oh, he's got this putt now for $16 million. Well, he hasn't really. I mean, all he's got is someone's going to give him 16 million. He's not going to lose 16 million. That's not pressure to me. Somebody came up to me and said, oh, see if you can hold this 6-footer for 100 grand. I'm like, oh, I'll have a go. I mean, that's not pressure, is it? It's when somebody, it's like Lee Trevino used to say.
It might be if you're 98 grand in debt, though.
Well, not really, because you'll still be if you missed it.
Oh, yeah.
The worst is like Lee Trevino once said, the biggest pressure is when you're playing for $30 and you've only got 20 in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if I said to, I don't know, Tiger Woods, and I said, okay, well, this 6-footer, if you make it, you're going to get another 100 million. But if you lose it, you're going to lose everything you've got. And that's that. I mean, then you're losing something. Actually, and so those guys, like threatening to get on the Challenge Tour and then up the European Tour, that really is pressure then when they've got a 10-footer because they're going to lose everything if they don't get it.
Yeah.
But it's like they punch drunk themselves into being sort of so good under pressure. If I said to you, if we had a white line here and I said, right, I want you to walk down that white line. If you fall off it, you give me £1,000. If you get through it, you get £1,000. You'll be like, you wouldn't know whether you do it. If I then said to you, see if you can walk down that line, I'll just give you £1,000 if you make it. It'd still be pressure, right? You'll still think, oh, well, it'd be nice to do. But then if I said, sort of every day for the next year, you can walk down that line. And every time you walk down that line, you get £1,000. Suddenly that pressure is completely gone. You're like, well, I missed this one. And that's what a lot of the pro game does. They play so much and so often. Right. When you see them holding those 6-footers, you know, it's just like that routine. And the more you do it, and that's why when you're getting your handicap down, you have to play in loads of tournaments, because that kind of stress and pressure you put yourself under, you have to make yourself punch drunk to it. And it's the only way of getting better, because you don't fluke it. You never go out and say, oh, that was handy over 18 years. Like 4 hours of golf under that tension, I just did it. You know, it doesn't happen.
I had a magic day. So that sounds a bit like your philosophy is like, what's the worst that can happen? Is it like the worst is you just walk off?
I think just put it into perspective. It's the only way of managing it. You know, because pressure is only what you put on yourself. If you build it up so much in your head, I mean, you're not going to explode, are you? Yeah. You're just going to build it up and up and up. If it's your medal, your club championship, or you're playing your mates, like you want a certain amount of adrenaline on it because that's good for you. But as soon as it goes over the top of that, you're just not going to perform, because nobody performs under that pressure unless they're under that pressure all the time, which is why the pros game is so different from it. Like the rest of us, you know, you're sort of 15 handicapper going out for a round. It's just so different, you know.
Do you see the other side as well when you're on fire? Do you have to rein yourself in? Can you go the other way, and you can have bad days, but you can also get too far ahead as well? You just think you can't miss anything, and you've missed the process then.
Yeah, I don't think you think about that when you're in that. They always talk about it like being in a bit of a bubble in the zone, or whatever the latest thing is now. I think like if I, like your best round ever, wherever, or if you can remember it, big chunks of the holes disappear. And so it is a little bit of a zen-like state. You get going, oh, that's a good shot, that was a good shot. And suddenly you can look back and think, crikey, at the end of the round, how did I hit that shot? How did I hold that putt? But, you know, the more you think about those shots, if you can't forget about the ones that have gone, the worse it's going to go. So it's getting into that sort of state of free flowing and enabling your swing to just be what you do on the range, which is the hardest place to get to.
Yeah. Great stuff. We have to get off golf a little bit now. So, do you have any creative ideas coming up? Anything you've got your eyes on that you can share, or, you know, music, golf, YouTube channels?
Yeah, well, I would like to take on a very big project, but it's a thing I've been thinking about, and I've been sort of looking at pitching it to some TV companies. I think it's got quite a lot of merit, but it's a huge project, and I would like to do it. I won't mention it just in case, you know, but it would involve me being away from home for pretty much a year. So that's my problem, is I like to see my kids and like hanging out, and I like doing this stuff. So I know that if I go full tilt into doing that, it's pretty much like it's a tough one, isn't it? Just writing off such a large amount of time. But
it is. But as we get older, that year doesn't seem to be such a long time, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, I agree. I worry that getting stuck into something so big with such a lot of commitment, like financial commitment, and from other people. I think in life, I've never liked to have money from other people or help from other people, because then you feel obliged to deliver something, you know? Yeah. And I think my big worry is getting too much involved in that, and then suddenly thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. Like on day 5 of 100 days, you know?
Yeah. But the results went your way, how would that feel on that project?
If I enjoyed it and it was successful. I think it would. I think success would be. It would be more of a completion of it rather than anything else. You know, because it obviously is golf based, but like once you can play most golf courses, and I do get to travel a lot with my work, so I play some really nice golf courses around the world. So really, it would be pretty much the same kind of thing, but it would be a kind of a more planned approach.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other YouTubers do, but I generally don't plan. My best videos just come when I pick a camera up and say, let's try this, you know.
Play with Bobby somewhere.
Yeah, I love playing with Bobby, yeah. But so it's, you know, they're always the more fun ones. For me anyway, you know, I've got a video out there that's had 25 watches, you know. It's just amazing. You just can't tell
what's going to
happen. Yeah, you just don't know. You just put it out and chuck them out there. They're like little eggs out there.
But then you're on to your next one, aren't you? You're almost like, well, that one's done.
Yeah.
Not much
you are. It's quite nice, actually, if the other guys don't do it. It is quite nice to go back and go through the backlog.
Yeah.
You know, every now and again, have a little watch. And sometimes, oh, God, I was shitbored with a couple of mine the other day. I was like, how does anybody watch this? But then I'm looking at myself and I know myself.
Yeah.
Whereas I will watch a YouTuber, a vlogger, and I'll just be fascinated by everything he does. It's
right.
Like, oh, really? That's nice. That's nice kettle he's got there. That's nice, you know. And, you know, obviously to him, it would be just like the most boring thing. So we've got to be aware that the people who are following us are just following us because they're just like, you know, what's going on and the personality, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's not golf.
Yeah. It's the banter and all that other things that come with it. Are you wary of the legacy that is coming now, that stuff that you're creating is there forever now? But, you know, it's people in 100 watching that.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how long YouTube's going to last, you know. Like I'm of a generation who started off with like MySpace and, you know, built up a big MySpace profile. Friends reunited, gone, you know. My band Instagram had 140,000 followers. I was just like, but I was so fed up with it because I wasn't into that sort of banter. Like I like golf banter. It's fun, you know.
Yeah.
I just shut it down, just closed it. I just was fed up with it. You know? Yeah.
Right, so some happy me questions to finish. Do you know
the
$2 million question? Do you know the theory of it?
Oh God, yeah, I did hear that one, and I should have thought about it a bit more, I suppose.
No, man, it's good if you just come out of it now. So
it's what I would
the freedom to do whatever you want. What would you be doing?
Guys, it's going to sound so cheesy. I would definitely help other people. My mother's got dementia, and she's kind of like, obviously it's a family member, but I think when you go and help other people with other things, it just has so much weight because it's nice to be helped, and it's also nice to help, you know, in any way you can. You know, like I would try and help people with golf, but I know it's so sometimes not always help because they get worse before they get better. But I think outside of that, I think it's great when like these guys set up charities and actually make a difference, you know, to a few people. You know, I think that would be nice. It makes you feel good, right? You know, I think the things that we do, ultimately, if you sort of lay in bed and think, like maybe at the end of your days, what did I do that was actually fun? It wasn't just for myself. How did I help people? And I think that's the legacy, really. If you help somebody out, you know, it's such a noble thing to do. I don't do much of it. I'd like to do more of it, but yeah, that's what I would do.
Some golf-related dementia.
It'd be nice if it was golf-related. You know. The first thing is I couldn't be trusted with £2 million. I've proved that before. So
what I'd do is
get rid of it. It'd be the worst curse ever for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of same. I think I'd do. I don't know what I'd do if I were stable enough not to have to worry, but.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting. That's the way you go to that helping. And there's golf nuts Lee. Call him Lee. His dad's got dementia as well, hasn't he? So there's definitely
I feel for those guys. You know, I don't. It's getting into a different subject, but we're living too long. You know, it's like I don't think our brains and our squishy bits of our body are really sort of progressed enough, you know, to live to like 80 odd.
Sure. And do you think stuff like golf as well is good for getting out and keeping the brain active and keeping you know, once you're tired, it's easy to sort of sit on a sofa, isn't it, and watch the TV? And
it is. I think it's like what sort of person you are. You know, I think most of us, especially like nutter golf vloggers like us lot, we can't sit still. We've got to do something. Like, I feel itchy if I don't do something. It's just like a weird thing that you want to do. You want to be a little bit creative, you know, maybe get a bit of exercise and all those things. Golf works in so nicely because it's so social, isn't it? You know, we're out, we're hanging out with people, and you know, it's always a good bit of banter, and it's a nice environment to be in. And I think I just like being out in the grass and you know, and all that kind of thing as well. So it ticks quite a lot of boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does.
I don't like running around and getting like super sweaty and aching muscles, you know, but I do like just mooching around a golf course with some mates having a drink, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely it's not many better things to do, is there, on a summer's night? No. Well, we played yesterday. It was nice with two of our friends.
Oh, you got out? Yeah, you said you were. A bit cold for me yesterday.
Once we got started, it was all right, you know. We play at 100 miles.
It's often like that. It's like a cold swimming pool. It's all right when you're in, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't realise until you stood at the car at the end going, oh, it is quite cold, isn't it? Because you've
yeah. Or you get back in the house and it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah, that's it. And my face was bright red on whoever I interviewed yesterday after golf. I remember it was. So the last question, you've alluded to a lot of things, but where will you be this time next year? Work, YouTube, family, things like that. You know, where do you see yourself? If we revisit this interview, hopefully come back on next December and see what happened.
I think it'll be interesting. It's an interesting, if we're going to look at golf for now, I think it's an interesting time with the handicap changing. That's going to shake things up a little bit for amateur golf, which is like what we're all interested in, if you like, or what we're stuck in. So I think that will make a big difference. When you asked me about my handicap earlier, I don't know. I mean, I could quite easily, like I could have a 10 shot swing. Like I think the last 11 competitive rounds I had came to about 23 under par or something. So what am I going to be off +6? It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to me. But then at the same time, you have a bit of a bad spell and I could be off 5. I don't know, you know. So I don't know what's going to happen with the handicap wise.
What are you calling? You call it though. What are you going to be?
I'm going to be. Yeah, you're going to hold me to it, aren't you?
I'll just remind you about it, but I'm not going to hold you to
it. I think I'll probably be about the same. If it works out like it should do, I think I'll probably be off scratch or +1 or something. I'm not getting much better anymore, so I'll be around that, hopefully.
YouTube channel, YouTube subscribe.
YouTube channel. Well, I'll have another 125 videos out there, that's for sure. So I try and do, that is one thing I do try and do something every week. Not really worried about where it goes, you know. I'm not sure about making a living from it.
I was
quite nice. It's kind of doing all right.
I got some numbers down. I was going to ask you about monetization.
Yes, far away, yeah.
How have you found it? Like you probably went 1,000 subscribers 2 or 3 months ago. Or... Yeah.
I wouldn't, you know, I didn't go out and buy a Ferrari, but
more or less what you thought you were going to get. Were you surprised?
Pretty much the same. I kind of hung out with enough sort of monetized guys to know the idea, and I think if you think you're going to get from YouTube like a ton of money for you know, when you get your 1,000, it's not really right. You'll probably get like maybe anything up to about $50 per month, something like that, which is not much. But I would say if you're interested in trying to get a kickback, affiliate links are crucial. I actually do really well at my affiliate links. I might get 250 quid a month out of affiliate links, which I don't even know why, because I never try and sell anything. They just must go down and think, I'll get one of those, and then I kind of get a kickback off it. I did quite good with like Arcos Golf. Those guys were good. They've given me a discount on my channel, and a lot of people, like monthly, they buy Arcos units because they get a little 10-20%, whatever it was, from a video that I did some time ago. So that all adds up. As far as like YouTube's concerned, you don't really get a lot from where we are. I'm sure it'll build up at some point.
Yeah, and you know your views per milli, that figure. Do you look at that?
Yeah. Sorry, say again.
Do you know how much they pay per 1,000 views? That CPM value.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't looked at it. Like I say, I'm not really a click watcher. The only thing I did look at the other day when somebody mentioned about the demographic. I think mine's 85% American. I don't know why. I think Brits must hate my accent or something.
I think you're like the James Bond of of golf. That's how I would describe you. Because you know, you go to your Instagram, you're snowboarding, you're
yeah.
So
yeah, it's a better life than mine. What's on there, you know?
It's my life. I'm not sure
Yeah.
where the pictures come from, but yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I know, right?
so I can see you appealing to Americans, but
Yeah, so they seem to like it, and I think as far as a lot of the other stuff for the other kind of creator guys, I would just use the platform, and I think it's not using it; it's giving back quite a lot actually. I would just use it to get free rounds, probably get some a few little review things if you use them. Like I'm going to do some reviews actually today, but it's stuff that I've used for about 2 years, so it's not like someone's given me it and I'm going to try and sell it. It's like I really believe in this because I've used it, you know, for X amount of time. So I think getting
you into it, you say this is in my bag, like, or this is something.
Absolutely.
And you
know, well, I think it's given back to your channel as well. I think it's given the company that has made the particular bit of equipment a pat on the back, you know, and it's also given, you know, your followers a little heads up. If they're into that sort of stuff, it's going to work, you know, because I always kind of look at reviews on if I'm buying a camera or if I'm buying something, and there's nearly always something on there that I either do like or don't like. So it really does help, you know.
Yeah.
And so I believe that is like value, because I think channels often, it's all about value, isn't it? If people are going to watch, they're going to watch you for some reason. So give them a bit of entertainment or maybe a value to their life for 5 minutes of what they're going to buy or look at. So I think that's quite important as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that multiple streams of income, that you don't realize that little affiliate money that comes in and that boosts it.
Makes
and
a big difference.
Gives you a little bit of, and you know, if you can get free rounds. Well, I think we can talk all day, so we better draw it to an end. But thanks for coming on. I was looking forward to getting you on because I've been following you for, I think since, obviously Happy Meet Golf, and then the Happy Golfer turned up. I was like, and the first.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to you next year and everything you do. Hopefully we'll bring it in a year's time and see if your massive plans have unfolded a bit more.
Another midlife crisis.
All that happens. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. Cheers, Paul.